You're listening to Personal Demon, a YA horror series set in a mysterious town in upstate New York, where horrors crawl out of the shadows and friendly faces wear fangs. In the upcoming episode, on her first day of high school, Norah drowns in other people's darkest thoughts, while a demon hunter investigates the sinister forces burning in Hogarth. Their worlds are about to collide. So, turn out the lights, put your headphones on, because you're about to enter Hogarth. The streets of Hogarth were too quiet. That was the first thing Paul noticed. For a place where 7 people had died in as many months, having spontaneously combusted under unexplained circumstances, an eerie calm clung to the basin town like a fog. The engine of his Yamaha thrummed beneath Paul, a low, steady growl against the low brick facades of an unassuming suburb. He barely noticed the cool wind biting through his jacket as he navigated the small, dusty lanes. He was too busy reading the EMF reader strapped to the tank, which pulsed with a dim green glow. Riding through Hogarth, things had been unremarkable so far. A few harmless spikes by a butcher's shop, and one riding past the cemetery, but nothing screamed demonic. Still, 7 bodies, all hollowed out and burnt alive, no accelerant. Having spent his life buried in yellowing occult tomes, Paul knew this MO could be attributed to any number of things, none of them good. If he had to guess, the victims had been made into thralls, mindless drones created to do someone else's bidding. But that was just a theory, and theories didn't count for much according to Harry. His sister loved to remind him that he lacked her methodical approach to investigating. He could hear her now. "It's not what you think, Paul. It never is. You go in too fast, and you'll miss what's right in front of you." Harry loved to make him feel inadequate, always under the guise of care and concern. He'd been on the job for less than 24 hours, and she'd already called him 4 times for an update. Their whole lives she'd infantilized Paul, treated him like an incompetent boy in need of constant mothering. It only got worse after their father died, and Harry inherited leadership of the Order. Since then, she tightened her grip on the Winnikers, on Paul, on everything. Harry didn't think he could handle himself in the field. Sure, he'd screwed up before, but at least he showed up. The Order had enough armchair scholars and glory hounds playing Monster Hunter for prestige. Paul grew up in the thick of it. Exorcisms over Christmas dinner, memorizing demon sigils along with his Latin homework. His childhood had been just as steeped in holy water and rock salt as hers. Yet Harry still treated Paul like he was clueless, like he had to prove himself over and over again. He wasn't going to let her have this one. Not this time. They'd assigned him a solo case, and he was finishing it alone. Paul gritted his teeth and leaned into the curve of the road, accelerating out of the residential zone and onto the main high street. He was headed back towards Dearborn Highway, where squat homes gave way to fields, and the occasional industrial skeleton left to rot in hedgerows. Paul checked his map, tapping the screen on his mounted reader. He was making good time, and would reach Black Hollow Woods soon. He'd driven past it late last night on the way into Hogarth. Old routes ran through that forest, tangled and deep. He could hit the outer edge by late morning, do a sweep of the crime scene for signs of demonic activity, maybe try to trace any residual energies back to a source. As Paul was about to reach the town limit, his EMF reader lit up like Rockefeller in December, registering a huge wave of mystical energy. Paul's tires screeched as he pulled hard on the brake and scanned his surroundings. Anything with that much juice had to be the size of Godzilla. He watched the needle dance, flashing with red panic, as the EMP vibrated like it might shake itself to bits. Yet he couldn't see anything. Nothing but a quiet street, dusted with orange autumn leaves, and some pedestrians going about their day. The reader spiked as a girl crossed the street at the edge of an intersection leading to a high school. Typical red brick and surrounded by an imposing wrought iron fence, tall and spear-tipped, ivy curling through the gaps like veins. The girl had dark, coiled curls that spiraled down her shoulders, thick and full of volume, with a few stubborn strands that she'd made no effort to tame. She was slim, with a long torso, covered by a thin, rust-coloured sweater, with light blue boyfriend jeans underneath. There was something off about the way she moved. She had her arms locked tight around her chest, shoulders bent forward as if she was bracing against a strong wind, and there was a pained look etched across her delicate features. It almost seemed like bees were swarming after her. The bell rung, and she picked up pace, along with the other students who were filtering into the school courtyard. Most looked bored, dragging their feet, yet the EMF reader was bouncing like crazy. Then it stopped. The warning light returned to a dull green, and the needle barely flickered. Paul frowned. He stayed on the curb, engine idling. It could be nothing. A large data backup causing a false positive. Yet it felt too extreme to be an anomaly. Demons often hid in plain sight, to wrap themselves around the weak, the lost, and the angry. Why better than a high school? He considered going in, spin some story about a gas leak or a faulty boiler. But there were too many eyes at this time of day, too many questions. The Order didn't have the resources to clean up a PR mess, not like they used to. Harry would have his head if he screwed up this early. Better to wait it out. He could come back once the school emptied out to investigate things. Paul rolled the bike forward and eased it back onto the main road, allowing the school to recede in his mirrors. There was something strange about Hogarth. That much was clear. The bike kicked up gravel as he pulled onto the narrowing lane that led to the edge of Black Hollow Wood. This was where the real work began. Harry could doubt him. The Order could write him off. But whatever was burning people alive in this town, Paul was going to find it. And when he did, he was going to be the one to take it out. The gates of Hogarth High clanged shut behind Norah, cutting off the outside world like the snap of a bear trap. As soon as she stepped into the courtyard, she was hit by the violent crush of other people's thoughts.
She's wearing the same outfit as me. What the hell?
I hope no one sees this stain on my shirt.
Oh, I hate this school. I wish everyone here would die already.
A constant barrage of the raw, disjointed thoughts that spun through people's heads on a daily basis. Flashes of insecurity, jealousy laced with cruelty, intrusive self-loathing, lust, shame, desperation, violent ideations. Pure humanity served neat. Of all the abilities she'd been cursed with since they'd decided to present themselves, this was by far the one Norah hated the most. It was like plunging headfirst into a maelstrom that slammed down and rattled around her skull.
Whoa, look at the beak on that guy. Gonna peck someone's eye out with that thing. Do my chem homework. Oh, I can't remember.
Okay, act normal, Charlie. Nobody will know you're high if you just act normal. Norah was struck by a wave of dizziness, leaning against a brick wall to regain her balance as she watched her future peers file in through the large front entrance. Her eyes darted between students, but the noise was everywhere, like ants crawling over her brain. Norah's skin was getting hot, but she pushed on, weaving through huddled groups, past a girl screaming internally about her weight, a boy burning with violent images of someone he'd smiled at only seconds earlier. She could feel their pain, their fear. She kept her head low and her pace fast, fingers twitching against the frayed strap of her backpack. She couldn't stomach breakfast and was running on coffee and a few dinner mints. That mixed with the psychic onslaught, and she was ready to vibrate into another dimension. As Norah made her way to the administration building, the hum of teenage thought static quieted to a dull roar, allowing her to breathe again. Passing through a quiet corridor, she came across an old trophy case, filled with framed photographs beneath a sign that read, Hogarth High Hall of Fame. Multiple generations of athletes in various uniforms, all frozen mid-triumph, pride and sweat immortalised, spanning from swimming all the way to cross-country. Right in the centre of the softball team was a face Norah recognised. Lo and behold, there was Rosie Woodhouse, younger and brighter than Norah had ever seen her. Grinning from the centre of a field, flanked by her teammates, Lana Baxter, Priya Desi, and Mel Green. Her mum was so tight-lipped about their life back in Hogarth, dismissing the past like it never happened. Norah pressed her fingers to the glass to study the image. This was why she was here, to find out what her mother would never tell her. Someone knew something about why Norah was the way she was. Whatever secrets this town was hiding, she was going to find them. The admin block looked to be a new addition to the school, with automatic glass panelled doors that swung open with a hiss, making way for the sterile silence within. The reception office was cleaner than she'd expected, devoid of life. It looked like a stairwell in a parking garage, apart from an enormous notice board filled with club posters and mental health pamphlets. There was a pass-through covered by clear perspex leading to a small office, where a woman with a lacquered bob and a fake friendly smile sat behind a large desk. Nora's stomach churned as she approached, nauseous from the lie she was about to tell. Enrolling in a new school was tough enough, but it was even worse when the only truthful thing on her form was her name and age, and that was only because she couldn't get a fake ID in time. She knocked on the counter, causing the administrator to glance up from her screen. Wonderful, another depressed teen to deal with. Norah could hear the woman's thoughts loud and clear as she sauntered over to the front desk with a bright expression. "New student?" she chirped, taking the form from Norah with enthusiasm. Yes, I'm transferring." Norah was so shaky she could barely speak. The administrator glanced at the paperwork. "We don't get too many transfers." Norah gave a terse nod, digging her fingers into her thighs to try to calm herself. Gosh, why not try cracking a smile? "All right, I'll get those enters for you." The administrator sounded less jovial as she returned to her desk, her true thoughts bleeding through the forced nicitude like rot beneath fresh paint. Norah wasn't sure what she preferred, wondering if people were thinking bad things about you or actually knowing they were. That was always the worst part of this power. Having people be kind to your face while secretly judging you was jarring. "Just need to get this scanned. Back in a jiffy." As soon as the woman vanished into the back room, Norah exhaled sharply, finally allowing her body to relax. Her head was still buzzing, but here she was alone, or so she thought. "Why can't we just tell people?" A girl's voice cut through the quiet, muffled but close. Curious, Norah tilted her body to peer around the edge of a wall. 2 students were stood in the shadows of the stairwell where they could be hidden from view, a boy and a girl around Nora's age. The girl was small, with short, dark hair, and was slightly on the heavier side. By comparison, the boy was tall and extremely broad in the shoulders with a narrow waist. He looked athletic and quite full of himself, with evenly tanned skin and jet black hair. They were holding hands, sort of, although it looked more like a tug of war. An intense, aggravated energy was sparking off the girl in chaotic waves, while the boy seemed keen to untwine himself from her. Her thoughts were so loud, it was making Nora's teeth ring. Why wouldn't he say it? He's ashamed of me. What am I doing wrong? The boy, named Ravi, according to her furious inner monologue, sighed, running a hand down his face. "I've already explained this to you, Hallie." "Yes, you have," she snapped. "I'm saying I don't understand. Loads of the guys on your team have girlfriends. So why is this different?" Norah hovered near the wall, not daring to move. She hadn't meant to spy, but now she couldn't escape. Their thoughts were like a magnet, messy and sharp, pulling her in. Because their girlfriends are cheerleaders. A twitch ran through Ravi's face as he tried not to verbalize those thoughts out loud. He rubbed the back of his neck, squirming under her glare. "I know, but I'm the captain. I can't appear unfocused." "It's because I'm embarrassing. He thinks I'm not good enough." Hallie looked defeated, storming away, only for Ravi to pull her back by the waist, muttering some sugar-coated nonsense into her hair. "Come on," he whispered. "Admit it, you like being my dirty little secret." The energy radiating off Hallie crackled like electrical sparks, and Norah had to flatten herself against the wall to brace against it. When Ravi pinched a small amount of flab on Hallie's stomach, the resulting emotional detonation nearly knocked Norah over.
"You're such a dick, Ravi!"
He chased after her again. Norah could see his pattern, the performance, push and pull, designed to keep the poor girl dangling. "What I meant was, is it such a bad thing that I want something that's just ours?" Norah rolled her eyes. That was some premium bullcrap. The crazy thing was, it worked. Hallie immediately softened, leaning into Ravi and melting at those hollow words. Having successfully neutralized her outburst, Ravi made his leave, giving her an unenthusiastic peck on the lips, before disappearing through a door leading to the outside. As soon as he was gone, a weight of depression descended upon the girl like a cloud of toxic gas. Norah could feel the shame burning in her chest as Hallie's mind raced with self-loathing.
"Well, there he goes again, off with his friends."
"Hallie, you're so stupid. Why'd you let him treat you like this?"
"Are you kidding? Like he would ever admit you're together?"
"No. If you just try harder, he'll see what a great person you are."
He could be dating anyone in the popular crowd.
Wait.
Why isn't he dating one of the popular girls?
God, what am I doing? Norah didn't mean to do it, didn't mean to say anything, but anger was boiling inside of her, amplified by Hallie's own internal chaos. The words burst out of her like a gasp of air.
"Holy crap, get some self-respect already!"
Hallie whipped around, eyes wide. "What did you just say to me?" Norah could feel the edges of her vision darken, and her head was pounding as the thoughts swirled in a hurricane.
"You shouldn't waste your time on someone like him. You deserve someone who actually likes you."
Hallie's face twisted.
"Excuse me?"
Norah clutched her temples, pain lancing through her skull. The entire stairwell throbbed with Hallie's fury and confusion.
Who does she think she is?
What is her problem?
Did he flirt with her? Is that what this is about?
Norah turned and fled, but Hallie's footsteps echoed behind her.
"Hey, don't walk away from me!"
Norah ran down the corridor, nearly slipping as she reached the automatic doors. Students were heading to their classes, their voices rising in the distance. Norah could blend into the crowd, if she could just get through the doors. The glass doors swished open long enough for Norah to pass, before she released a pulse from her fingertips that caused them to slice closed again. The mechanisms inside jammed with a grinding whine as she held them closed with her mind. Behind her, Hallie slammed into them.
"What the hell? Oh, stupid thing's stuck!"
Hallie banged on the glass, but Norah didn't look back. She sprinted through the busy corridor, disappearing into a sea of textbooks and backpacks. She didn't stop running until she reached the edge of the main building. Only then did she let herself breathe again. Her hands trembling, head ringing. She almost lost control in there. And the day was only just beginning. Thanks for listening. In the next episode of Personal Demon, Norah struggles to control her terrifying psychic abilities amid high school cruelty until a mysterious boy appears who might be her only refuge, but still, danger lurks closer than she thinks. New episodes every week. Subscribe so you don't miss out on whatever strange horror will be landing in Hogarth next time. If you're enjoying the show, leave a review. Or better yet, let us know your theories about the source of Norah's dark and mysterious powers. Want to know more about the spooky world of Personal Demon? Go follow us on social media or check out our website. Links are in the description. See you next time. Maybe she was never meant to be good.